Hey, what's going on? Recording this on a Monday morning, block A. You know what that means. We might get interrupted by tons of announcements for pool testing. I don't know. Maybe they've stopped that. I don't know. But you know the drill with this thing, the study guide. Hey, and for second semester, this is going to be worth eight eight whatever. It's the summative. Yeah, it's the summative stuff, not the formative. Summative. So 8 summative points. Forgot that for a second. Vacation. It was good. Hope you had a good vacation. You're probably watching this on Tuesday though. So we're back. We're back. I think most of us feel like, oh man, no, maybe not. When you first get to school on a Monday, you're like, it's not so bad. But then by Monday afternoon, you're like, oh, when's the next vacation? 7 weeks. All right, so let's take a look at these words that you will be encountering for Gingerbread Girl. So when you see them, you might know them a little bit better. And then when you see them again, you might know them even more. So let's do it right here. The first one is palmetto. I thought that might be new to you. South Carolina is the palmetto state. And you can see there's a picture right there of what a palmetto looks like. It just looks like a little palm tree. So since our setting for Gingerbread Girl is in Florida, you can imagine there's probably some palmettos around. Invariably is the next one. And it basically means without changing. So I have a sentence for you that I think is appropriate, and I used invariably in it. So remember, it means like it's just always going to happen. It's not going to change. Hopefully I don't have any typos in here. It seems over the past couple years, if you had something planned, it would be invariably canceled. So no question about it. Hopefully we're getting away from that stuff. But since March 13th, Friday the 13th, with COVID, it's like, hey, I'm looking forward to something. A couple days before, it's going to get canceled. And you all know that I had a trip planned to Sweden and Finland, and 3 weeks before, nah, you're not going. We're just getting used to that, right? Hopefully, like I said, that stuff is coming to an end. All right, the next one. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Please excuse the
Yeah,
interruption.
who needs to teach right
Pool one
now?
to head to the
Right? Yeah,
cafeteria.
pool
That's
one.
pool number
Pool
one.
one.
Please go to the cafeteria now.
Yeah. So, and if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I think there are only 5 or 6 pools. Yeah, I learned there are 10, 11 pools. So something we can look forward to over the next couple of minutes. I'll try to be brief here. All right, back to this. The next one is right at the bottom. I'll move it up here below the Aleve commercial. Sheaf. Sheaf. So it's a package of several things tied together. Here, it looks like there's a sheaf of hay, probably. But in Gingerbread Girl, Stephen King, spoiler alert, there's going to be a sheaf of blonde hair. So you can imagine if someone has a ponytail, it's all tied together, a sheaf of blonde hair sticking out of the trunk. That's never good. Maybe it's Halloween, though. No, it's not. And in Gingerbread Girl, we will learn it's like spring. Oh, we already have. It was talked about top-down weather. So if somebody has a convertible car, they put the top down. He said it was just getting to be top-down weather. So is it March or April maybe? It's pretty early in spring, I believe. All right, the next one, let's bring it up here. Sheaf, peripheral. Peripheral, and I have a sentence for you. Peripheral, it's like on the edge. The most common way you'll hear this, not the only way, but the most common way, peripheral vision. The things you can see outside of your eyes, just right on the edge. But there's also somebody might live on the peripheral of society. Maybe they don't quite fit in, so they're kind of on the edge. They might live the peripheral of town, so they will live on the outskirts, the edges. Excuse me. She saw the car barreling towards her out of her peripheral vision. That's fun to say. peripheral. The next one is simultaneously, happening at the same time. So you can see this kid. I thought that was actually ketchup and mustard, but it's not. They're just like two water bottles, whatever. So this kid is drinking from two water bottles simultaneously. Big word there, simultaneously. And I actually have a sentence for you. He was unable to walk and chew gum simultaneously. So it's just another way to say at the same time. You can imagine that person is pretty dumb if they can't walk and talk simultaneously at the same time. The next one, make it a little smaller here. There we go. Preceded, came before. Pre means before, preceded. And guess what? I have a couple sentences for you. January preceded February. Yep, came before. And for you, elementary school, for everybody, actually, elementary school precedes middle school. Middle school precedes high school. So, comes before. Maybe you have an older brother and sister. It's likely they preceded you in high school, in middle school. They were here before you were. Hopefully that helps. The next one, arduous. If something is hard to do, you can describe it as arduous. Hard to do, requiring much effort. You can see this dude right here. He is carrying a big boulder, I guess, for some reason on his back. Kind of weird that it's just molded like kind of to his back. But you can imagine if he had to walk any kind of distance, it would be an arduous task. Arduous task. The next one, guttural. If you read a lot of Stephen King, you will see that he loves guttural. And it's a noise produced deep down in the throat. Maybe if you have a cold, you could have like a guttural cough. It like sounds like it's deep in the throat there. Stephen King loves to use guttural when he's talking about the sounds people make when they're getting hurt. Like she made a guttural noise as the fist slammed into her stomach. Guttural, deep in the throat. Next one, you might know this one. I don't know. Kindling. Dry sticks of wood used to start a fire. It's always helpful if you need to start a fire. You have like little pieces of wood, very thin, that will start well kindling. You could use it outside of a fire too. So if we're talking about Em and Henry, like if something is like starting a fight, you could call it the kindling. So the fact that their baby died was probably kindling towards the end of their marriage. Like it didn't help. It didn't help their marriage. Kindling. The next one, if you look, starts with premonition, something before. Hey, there you go. Pool 2. Let's go.
Please excuse the interruption.
No.
We need pool number 2 to head to the cafeteria, please. That's pool number 2.
We got it.
Thank you.
Got it. Loud and clear. Pool number 2. The next one here, premonition. I already talked about it before. Forewarning, a feeling that something is about to happen before it happens. You can see there's a crystal ball there. But people have premonitions all the time. It's usually bad. We usually use it with a bad connotation. But man, I have a premonition. Something bad is going to happen. You know, just that feeling, that thought. A lot of times it doesn't come true, hopefully, but sometimes it does. I don't think a lot of people had a premonition that Russia was actually going to invade Ukraine. I think myself, at least, I was like, come on. Can't have a war in Europe in 2022. Well, yeah, we can. So I didn't have any thought that was going to happen. I mean, there were warnings, but I thought Putin would back down. All right, the next one is something I can't read. Oh, gait. This is a good one. Gait. The way a person walks. You can see this person's walking. He has a rather wide gait, I would say. That's a really big step right there. Gait. Notice how it's spelled. It's not spelled like the fence thing, Gate. Gait. A lot of times in dog shows, I don't know, family tradition in my house on Thanksgiving, we watch the dog show. Is it Thanksgiving? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Thanksgiving. And the way the dog walks, its gait really affects how it's judged. I guess if it has a good gait, you can imagine like a zombie would have something like a shambling gait. You know, it's not like a normal person walks, kind of like shuffling. And then in Gingerbread Girl, I can't remember which character, but I think they injure their leg, so they now have like an awkward gait. They can't actually run. Remember M, she's a runner. That might come into play later on. The next one is feral. Let me bring that up. Feral. The next one is feral. Fun to say. Wild, savage, untamed. You can see that looks like maybe it's a feral cat. You can have feral dogs. One of the saddest things I've heard of, you can look it up if you'd like, feral children. Thankfully, it's rare, but sometimes like kids have been kept in like a closet until they're like 13 years old, not spoken to, just like food thrown there in the closet, you know, and they have to, you know, go to the bathroom and stuff right in the closet. They're treated like an animal. So feral children, and people have found out that if you don't acquire like language skills before a certain age, might be like 1, 2, 3, 4, like really early on, it's unlikely you're going to ever be able to speak. So a lot of these feral children, there's a case, she's still alive. She's a few years older than I am, out in California. I did a little research on her. I think she was like 13 in the mid 70s. Like right around I was born, she was found in that closet. Just awful, awful. So, but everything about her is pretty secretive, you know, because the state took her over. Like she could never be placed in a home just because her gait was, it was never like, that was another thing too. Like people think if you don't acquire like walking skill, like motor skills, it could be called, like it's very hard for you to acquire those at a later age. She was not able to really walk around in that little closet. So she was a feral child, is maybe not a feral adult. I don't know. I wish I knew how she was doing. But of course, there's a lot of privacy surrounding her. All right, the next one, counterproductive. Counterproductive. This is when like you're trying to do something, you're trying to be productive, you're trying to produce something, and it has the opposite effect. It's like you would be better not doing this at all. So this is maybe true for me. I don't know if it's true for you. Studying 5 minutes before the test, we sometimes call that cramming, people my age, might be counterproductive. It might actually confuse you more. I know always I had that dilemma because maybe I didn't study hard enough for a test. I was like, oh, should I cram right now? And sometimes that information gets a little jumbled and you don't do so well. The next one is, how many more we got? I'm trying to go. Is this the last one? Okay. Last one. Periscope. Like back to this counterproductive. Yeah, that bicycle doesn't seem like it would work very well if both people are pedaling at the same time. It'd be counterproductive. This guy looks a little bigger and maybe a little stronger, so the bike might go like to the right for a little bit, but I think it would be better if like they took breaks. Maybe, I don't know. That's just an awkward bike right there. The next thing is Periscope. 2 things I would love for you to know about Periscope. Every time you see Perry, think around. So like the perimeter of something, if you know that from math class, try to think of that. It doesn't always help. That's not one of the ones that works all the time. But if you see Perry, just think, could it mean around or something like that? And then scope, that means to see. So this thing helps you to see, but you might know these are often found in like submarines, periscope. So it was just a way for me to, you might know that word already, which would be great, but it was a way for me to teach a couple Latin and Greek roots that you might not know. All right. Hopefully that helps. I mean, you could always watch this again, right? If I went a little too quickly for you, you could watch it again. I'm sure most won't, but don't forget, fill that thing out. It's almost equal to a quiz grade now. So, all right.